Problems 10 through 13 from the homework worksheet H1-1 are just asking us to state the opposite and the reciprocal of each. So with this one here, we're just going to review some terminology. It might have been a while since you've heard opposite and reciprocal. What is it asking us to do? Well, remember opposites are always going to be like, if you've got plus, which is like positive, or minus, stands for negative. So if I have two opposites here, for instance, my 2 on number 10, right, is a positive 2. So the opposite of a positive 2 would be a negative 2. So I'm going to put negative 2 down as the answer for the opposite. For the reciprocal, remember reciprocal is when you've got, say, a number here, 2, and if I wrote it in its fraction form, that really is the same thing as 2 divided by 1. We just don't write the denominator in there because we know when we see just the numerator that the denominator is 1. Okay, so remember reciprocal is where we take it here and we flip-flop the numerator and denominator. So in this case here, when we flip-flop our 2 and our 1, we end up with 1/2. Looking at number 11, the opposite of a negative 1/3 then would end up being a positive 1/3. And if I was talking about the reciprocal of negative 1/3, it's still negative, but now I need to swap out my numerator and denominator. So I've got 3 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Or we could go ahead and just write that as negative 3 if we just wanted to write it in its most simple form, or simplified form, sorry. Number 12, the opposite of x to the second power. So when you think about that there, the opposite of anything, right, if it's positive, then we're going to have to make it negative. So the opposite of x squared is a negative x squared. Okay, notice I didn't put parentheses in there, because if I would have put parentheses, right, and I tried to simplify it there, okay, that's the same thing as saying a negative x times a negative x, which gives you an x squared. So that's why we don't put parentheses for the opposite, because that would actually end up equaling the same thing it already was. So we don't want the parentheses in there on that one. We actually want the expression without the parentheses. Now the reciprocal, if we think about it, x squared is over 1. So we're going to take it here and just flip-flop the numerator and denominator. So we have 1 over x squared. 13. It asks us to write the opposite of an a minus 3. So this is one we got to be careful here. We got to think about it. This is all considered to be like one number, right? We have a minus 3. It's like one number, one value. So it's right now, we'll call it a positive a minus 3. So the opposite of that would be a negative quantity of a minus 3. Now we can write that as an answer. This would be a correct answer, or you can take it here and simplify it. You can distribute that negative through, right? So the opposite of a is going to be a negative a, and the opposite of minus 3 would be plus 3. So either of those answers would be correct there. I'll actually put a little or in there. Either one of those is correct. Now the reciprocal, remember a minus 3 is just a number, so that number right now, when it is in the numerator, right, that whole thing is just going to move to the denominator. So we got a 1 over an a minus 3. That's our reciprocal. That's one that people tend to miss a little bit here at the beginning as we're dusting off all our math skills from summertime. So if you have questions, please make sure, don't be afraid to reach out.